if you're in the food industry, you're a business that benefits from retention marketing, not acquiring new customers.
Completely different ballgame.
Welcome to GraceCast, a show where the top tactics for selling direct to consumer are expanded to get results for perishable food suppliers. If you're in the fresh and frozen categories and you're looking for the latest insights on e-commerce, marketing, and business, subscribe and stay tuned.
So, Blaine, one of the number one questions that we get from folks in our Grace Cart community is, hey, how do I get more sales or build more awareness to acquire more customers? And that we're going to give some insights on for some tips that we have found, things that have worked well for us over the years. And it also happens to be our third lever to how to increase profit in the series that we've been doing the last several episodes.
Yes.
Do you want to give us an overview of kind of where we're at in that series today?
Yeah, well, we've just basically boiled down every single profit lever your business has can be boiled down into three things. We can decrease our turnover, we can increase our gross product or gross margin, or today we're talking about we can increase our turnover, which is scale. So, in the context here, and we talked about this in the last episode, you really don't want to scale something that's not profitable, right? Mm-hmm. So there's where we need to make sure that our overheads are in line, especially our overhead to revenue ratios, because if you don't have a poor overhead to revenue ratio, you have to ask, is it because I don't have enough revenue, or is it just because I have my overheads are too intensive?
Yep.
So you need to get those things squared away first before we start scaling something. We want to scale a good thing, not a bad thing.
Yeah, so all three of these levers work together to create your profit.
Yeah.
And there is a little bit of a sequence and chronological order that you should focus on them before you double down on trying to scale.
So a good question to ask is there ever a bad time to increase sales? I mean, that seems like a dumb question, but there actually is. There are bad times to increase sales. Again, if your overheads are too intense. So I think of back to our days of a farmer's market, Brooks. Mm-hmm. Those are so labor and overhead intensive, they're very difficult to scale. So literally, if you're at a farmer's market and your booth gets busier, before you know it, you need a second or third person at the booth. And that's hard to scale. And then you want to go to more markets. Now you need another vehicle that pays another person to go to a market. And those become a kind of a nightmare to scale, and they're not that profitable because of the overheads that's tied to every market, every transaction.
So basically, if you're new to the show, you're listening to this episode first time, these are just reasons why you need to subscribe and then go back to listen to those other episodes before just diving in this one and implementing here, because you need to make sure you got those other two levers in place.
Don't increase sales if your overhead ratio is too high. Brooks, we like to keep our overhead ratio in that 15. I mean, for sure, any business, especially in this realm of business, food, online e-commerce, 15 to 25% range. I mean, you're going to want to fall in that range of revenue. So 15 to 25% no more of 15 to 25% of my revenue goes to cover my overheads.
Yep. So in our business, farm to fork world, with the margins that we're working with, we're around 15%. Goal is to get up to, places like 18 and so. And as you continue to scale, when you get every percentage basis point just means more and more to your bottom line.
Yeah, you go from a 20%. We did this in the last episode, Brooks, but you go from a 20% ratio of overhead to revenue to a 15% ratio. Your profit can double.
If you're at a $1 million business, then your profit can double.
Yes. Yep. So another time, Brooks, not to increase sales, not a good time to increase sales if your margin per unit is poor. So because then you get yourself in a bind because there's not enough profit to hire help to get all the orders out the door, and you hear that all the time is, I just can't afford to hire more help. Well, it's a business model problem. It's not any other problem. So
this is an interesting episode. I never thought I'd hear reasons on why to not increase sales. But nope, that's great.
Another time, before you ever increase sales, Brooks, you probably need to figure out, what do I need to stop doing? Because increasing sales, if you haven't figured out, doesn't come automatically. It creates, you have to put time and attention towards it. And if you don't have bandwidth to freed up, then it's going to be hard to be the business owner and doing new things, new business developments, if you don't have the time, if you're spread too thin. So first, before you obsess about creating more customers and sales, let's get some things off our plate. That frees you up to do that.
So if we get to that point, what are some ways that we can increase scale, get more customers, more sales? What does that look like?
Well, everyone, you're saying it. Everyone thinks, okay, increase my turnover or scale. I need more customers and more sales. But we really should be asking deeper questions. Peel back the layers and ask questions like, how can I increase my average order size? How can I increase the frequency in which someone buys from me? Now, Brooks, I think we talked about this on another episode about levers to increase sales and revenue.
Yep.
So we're going to be covering some of those in today's episode as well. How do you sell more or different products to the same customer? Those are questions we should be asking. What do my customers want to buy? How do they want to buy? Should I think about adding a more convenient service model? For example, Brooks, we went from a pickup model business, buying club, remote curbside pickup locations to home delivery.
Yep.
Ultimately, we had to raise our price to do that, some, Brooks, to cover that added cost. But ultimately, it increased sales because we were more in tune with what our customers wanted to, how they wanted to buy. So increasing average order size. Brooks, there's other things when we talk about increasing turnover. What about adding entirely different verticals or ways to serve our customer? For example, if we did classes, if you have a brick and mortar place of business or a farm, cooking classes has been a way to do that. And Brooks, if you look at our business, we built a custom e-commerce platform and found out there's other people that needed that too. That created, in our business ecosystem, that created more turnover, right? So we're taking something we already have and getting value from it, from what we've already built. So
Yep. Yeah, basically, I assume most people listening to this podcast sell products, but there's also services that you provide to get that product in the hands of your customers, and additional services that you might be able to provide to add more value to them. The cooking classes is a common example.
Yeah, and if you get to a point where you think you have valuable information to offer other businesses in your field, there's coaching and things like that. So there's just all kinds of opportunities.
Farm to fork model. There's agritourism, which is really picking up these days, and the list goes on.
So, Brooks, as we think about common ways, as we kind of peel back the layers, what are those levers to increase scale, turnover, and sales? Increasing LTV, lifetime customer value, basically, right, Brooks?
Yep.
So what are ways we can do that? We can increase. We always think of how do we increase the average order size? And when we talk to other online food companies, generally we like to compare, and if we're trying to help them increase sales, we like to look at, okay, where is your average order size?
Yep.
And Brooks, where is ours? So let's go ahead and share some benchmarks, and maybe if everyone wants to share some benchmarks in the comments below.
Yep. Let us know if you're watching on YouTube, wherever you're watching this. Let us know where do you stack up on some of these metrics to help yourself be able to compare to the group. So our average order size, Blaine, is right. It's just below $200.
Right.
Is going to be the average order value, and there's a lot of strategy that goes into getting it up to that point. So it's going to be around $200 or so. We're using things in our merchandising plan to help get up to there. One of those that I think of off the top of my head would be bundle upsells. And we actually built in a feature to Grace Cart where pretty much most of the staple products on our store, you're going to see that before the customer can even add that item to their cart, they got to click a menu that shows a couple of upsell options before they can do that, for if they were to stock up and buy maybe 5 packages of ground beef versus just 1, and they can see the savings to make that happen.
Another thing that you can do, a great strategy, is offering that free shipping threshold. We've talked about that before. So when orders get to a certain value, offer free delivery. So you're encouraging people to get up. Now, that for us, we offered free delivery at $149. So we didn't use that as a strategy to increase average order size, because our average order size, I think, was at 236 when we were doing a combination of shipping and pickup locations.
And these things are hard to track because that we had orders that were coming in below the 149 mark. So, I mean, you got to think, there's people who typically would hit the $100 or spend $130 who were bumping up to get that 150 mark for free delivery. So ideally, if your average order size is lower, I do like to look at and say, okay, put that free delivery threshold somewhere just above where your average order value is to try to put that carrot out there to increase the basket size.
So increased basket size, really important. It takes a lot to get a customer finally at the checkout. It's make the most of that. Next would be get people to check out more often. So increase frequency, Brooks. So this is something that we've just put more and more focus on because it really makes a big impact long term.
Yeah, so Chad Grau, who helps us out with our digital marketing here at Seven Sons, he's been on an episode before, and he's the one who's always kind of changed our mindset when it comes to growing our business. And he's always told us that it's always easier to get a current customer to either buy more from you with each purchase or buy from you more often than it is to go out and acquire a brand new customer, someone, and convince them to buy from you for the first time.
Right.
Which is where we normally always focus. That's the question we get. Most common question, how do I get more customers, more exposure?
Yep.
Well, depending on where your scale is at, you may be better off to just focus on ways that you can get your customer to buy more often instead.
And there's where I'll go right back to the free delivery threshold, because I don't know if everyone realizes how powerful that is, because not only does free delivery, that's a compelling offer for a brand new customer. So that can help convert traffic into new customers. It also can help you get your average order value up. And then it can also really remove the inhibition from somebody coming back to you, placing more frequent orders. So free delivery is kind of magical all across the board. We want people to come back more often, Brooks. We're always asking the question, how do we be easier to buy from? Like, we just have to be a company that's easy to buy from. And we've really put a lot of thought into the checkout flow of Gray's Cart. Matter of fact, we've studied Amazon for a while because they have this figured out. And ultimately, and we will have this conversation back and forth, we sacrifice a few things during the customer's very first experience. So there's things that we could streamline just a little bit on the very first purchase that a customer makes from us.
Yep.
But we choose to prioritize streamlining repetitive buying. So the second order, how do we make that second order so easy? So, I mean, simple things, Brooks, like making it really clear and not offering multiple ways to sign up for an account with Seven Sons. So we don't say sign up with your Facebook account, sign up with Google. No, we do what Amazon does, and you just create a username and password on their website. Why? Because the next time someone comes back to log in to order, I've done it multiple times. You don't remember, did I sign up with Amazon or did I sign up with Google?
Did I do guest or
what? How did I do this? We just provide one way, and it may not be optimum for the first time buying experience, but it is so easy for the repeat buying
There's
experience.
been thousands and thousands of hours that we've put into optimizing our checkout flow. And, I think it's pretty telling. You go to Amazon.com and it doesn't look like the most well-designed, elegant website that's out there. But those guys, they live with UI and thinking about how do we optimize that process to get people to buy from us again and again. And it's very important for us because when it comes to competing in the marketplace, because if you're in the food industry, you're a business that benefits from retention marketing, not acquiring new customers.
Completely different ballgame.
You got to think there's e-commerce businesses that are out there, and most e-commerce businesses or platforms are built for every industry that ever existed. And there's a lot of businesses that are just acquisition-based businesses. That's how that works. In fact, we have one of our own, our brother Bryce, who sells nesting boxes, so poultry equipment to other farmers out there. That's an acquisition-based business. Anyone who needs nesting boxes usually are making one or two purchases throughout the lifetime of that business.
They're not going to sign up for a monthly or delivery of a nest box,
yeah,
right?
Every month I need my subscription of nesting boxes. No, that's an acquisition-based business. The strategies for that will be completely different. You want to optimize the front end versus that repeat experience, because the repeat experience is almost non-existent.
Yeah, you have to choose which one you're going to prioritize.
Yep.
So that matters.
And for the food business, for us, it's retaining those customers.
Exactly. So, and Brooks, probably one of the easiest and I think funnest ways to increase LTV, lifetime customer value, is sell more products. So if you're just selling, you have an online food business selling mainly just beef, for example. We kind of started with that, Brooks, but as we added pastured pork and pastured chicken, that's just the easiest way to expand revenue. Is just think of it as revenue expansion.
And it's funny how some of these tips that we're giving you actually play into the rest of those levers that help you increase your profit. So,
Yeah.
for example, if you have a curbside pickup business and you're delivering to different pickup locations, your goal needs to be to fill the truck because you pretty much have a flat cost to go out and make that delivery day. The more product you get in the truck, the more you're spreading out that cost. So, if you have only a couple of different product enterprises that have products to sell from, it's going to be hard to really leverage and fill the truck. It's just going to make it harder to fill the truck, make it harder to fill the shipping box. So expanding that product mix not only gives your customer more to buy from you, it also helps optimize your input costs and your overheads as well.
So, Brooks, as we wrap up how to increase LTV, let's talk about our benchmarks at Seven Sons. So, Brooks, one benchmark that we look for is what is the value of a customer within their first 3 months of doing business with you? And tracking this benchmark over time, it really, really is important to know, are the changes I'm making increasing the first 3 month value or decreasing it? So at Seven Sons, Brooks, in April, we were at about $252 worth of value within the first 3 months of a brand new customer coming on board. Then we also look at, what about the first 12 months? So the first year of a customer that we've acquired, what's the value of that customer? We're at right around $600 to $700 of first year value per customer. So that starts telling you how much a customer is worth and how much you can spend and how much you should prioritize taking care of those customers. So that just gives you a few. And then thinking of frequency, Brooks, within the first 3 months, we get about 1.3 orders per customer. And within 12 months, we're averaging about 3 orders per customer. So obviously, we're looking at those numbers at Seven Sons, and we're saying, oh, yeah, there's plenty of room to increase that. Plenty of room.
How do we make that go up?
Believe us, that's where our priority is right now. So,
all right. So what's strategy number 2 to increase turnover or scale?
Well, it's always easier to try to optimize, sell more to one customer, but we still have to think about how do we increase the number of customers. So that's number 2, Brooks. How do we increase customers? So I think of things like how do we increase the number of email sign-up leads that we're getting, right? Because we know we've correlated this, Brooks. The more email sign-ups we get, the more customers we get.
And any expert in the e-commerce business and the e-commerce world will tell you that email marketing is one of the best strategies that you can do to convert more customers, continue to keep customers buying from you, and revenue pretty much will follow what you're doing with the email marketing side of things.
Yeah, we send an email out.
Sales come in.
Sales come in. We see number of email signups go up. Guess what? So does revenue and customer acquisition go up. It follows it. So it's tied together.
And of course, you have to be mindful of what you're doing. You're not spamming your customers' inboxes. So you got to put invest in some training on this and how this works. But when you start getting the dials just right, it really is impactful.
So Brooks, this is where Gray's Cart really outperforms and shines kind of within the different platforms. So I'm gonna reveal our
shameless plug.
Yes, and I'm gonna reveal our traffic to email conversion ratio. So our percentage. So out of every out of 100 visitors, how many people do we get to give us their email address? So, Brooks, in April, we had around 38,000 visitors, and we converted almost 3,000 new email addresses. So we're averaging around 3,000 to 4,000 new email addresses per month. That's a 7.73% conversion on traffic.
And again, this is where we think we've done our best work when it comes to designing the platform, because if you just do research, Google around, what are good traffic to email opt-in rates, and you'll find that people are happy in the e-commerce world when they get it above 1% to the 2% range. That's good in the e-commerce world. We've gotten this up to 7%. You want to explain a little bit how we're able to make that happen?
And it's taking time, bro. Testing and tracking this number over and over, making the smallest changes. I think, Brooks, a year ago, we were only at 4% here.
Yep.
So
which is still good.
Yeah, which is still really good. But we've literally, basically the way Gray's Cart works in the onboarding is, we've had to basically tailor our price per zone, right? So we've created an opt-in page to view prices for your delivery area.
Yep.
And that little gateway alone, we did not create that gateway page to see prices for the purpose of creating increased email acquisition.
Yep. So I was just having a call about this with someone today. So basically, if you're selling perishable food online, right, your cost to get product delivered to your customer is going to look completely different based off of where they're located. So it's the beast of the industry, beast of the trade. How do we do this then? Well, what most of the big guys do is they just charge one price and they say, well, some customers who live far away, I'm losing money on or breaking even. And then folks who are close to me, I'm making great margin on, right? Which for us, we would rather be a little more transparent in that and provide, our local customers who we can get the most competitive with the best value, because that's where most of our word of mouth synergy is growing anyways.
Yeah.
So on our website, we have the country broken down by 3 different pricing tiers.
Yeah.
And depending on where you're located, you'll see one of those different tiers. We're building in all that shipping cost right into it. Yeah. And sign up to the call to action is sign up to view price. So you can see all the products. So we're just asking for a zip code and email. That tells us where you're located, gives us the pricing, gives that customer the price in their area, and gives us an email opt-in.
This is one of these things that we did. It's like, it shouldn't be this easy to increase email opt-ins.
We've seen clients who've turned this on as well, and it's a simple setting to do. You click enable, and your email opt-in rates go, they double or more. We've seen clients who it's done much more than that.
Yeah, and probably the next question is, well, how many of those email subscribers do you convert? Well, in April, we converted 13% of those email subscribers. So out of those 4,000 email subscribers, 13%, which we're very happy with. And even if we didn't convert them in the first month, they're still on the email list, providing them valuable email content.
And part of what helps convert them is the whole strategy in the first place, because when you're charging different pricing tiers, you're able to embed all of your costs, your landed costs, to get it delivered to them. So they know while they're shopping, they're not surprised by a high delivery fee at checkout, which just kills your conversion rate, which we see a lot of people doing, is they're just forwarding on that shipping cost, the packaging cost to the customer at checkout.
So if you're not converting at least 7% of your traffic into an email subscriber, you are losing out and losing sales. So there you go. Those are the benchmarks, Brooks, on conversion. So once we've identified how well we're utilizing traffic, let's talk about getting more traffic that we can convert. And again, everyone kind of starts kind of backwards. If you want more sales, online sales, you think, well, I need more traffic. Well, first we're going to dive into the conversions like we just did. Once we have that in place, then it's a good idea maybe to start investing in getting more traffic to your website. So maybe hire an SEO firm to do some SEO work, or we've been experimenting with Facebook campaigns and Instagram. Since we have existing traffic coming to our website, something that's worked well for us, and we're continuing to experiment, is what's called lookalike campaigns or lookalike audiences. And so that's something where you definitely want to have a digital marketing expert that set those type of campaigns up. But if you have a couple thousand visitors coming to your website every month, then there's an opportunity to create lookalike campaigns, and those have converted up to spend $1, bring in a $3, $4 worth of new sales from cold traffic.
Yep.
People never heard about you before. Last, Brooks, when I think about increasing customers, one angle to think about is, how do you diversify the type of customer you have? So one thing at Seven Sons we've done is, we love our online business, Brooks, direct to consumer, but we also really like the diversity that our wholesale clients bring and our distribution clients. So do you know what the ratio, Brooks, of that breakdown is between?
Yeah, we're right around, it's like 67, 69% e-commerce retail.
Yeah.
And then the remainder of that is going to be broken up through various wholesale and distribution channels.
Yeah. So there's synergy that exists between those two channels, Brooks, and we're always looking at just not increasing online customers, but also our wholesale business. And just one other thought, Brooks, when we think about what kind of wholesale clients to go after, we've always developed a lot of synergy with other online local food companies that are maybe doing home delivery, for example, because having our products available to their customers, that's a very similar customer base.
Well, and I think the biggest thing to think about when you think about pursuing wholesale markets is to first focus on folks who make their end sale to the same type of customers that you serve, right? Because then you can use the same packaging, and you don't have to go into the complexity of trying to serve the food service world, which, a lot of times you're going to need to just package things different. Serving
selling
a chef is very different than selling to an end consumer.
Or selling primals to a butcher shop.
Yeah.
Completely different processing need and packaging.
Now new packaging, new SKUs that you have to manage just for that client. And if you lose clients who are buying a certain item that you can't now sell retail, it just creates those types of problems.
Other online home delivery businesses, we love them because they love how our products come to them, because we've built them and designed them.
And
for
what's
that.
great too is, we've always focused on our direct marketing business, serving that end consumer. And we have found that as we focus there, our exposure to new wholesale accounts, retail wholesale accounts, has just continued to grow. It follows that exposure we create on the direct marketing side of things. So I think the big thing is to be organized and always be ready to land that wholesale customer when they reach out to you. We've put some strategy into trying to drum up new wholesale business, and it's really it's been a tough sell for us. But we have positioned ourselves to be easy to buy from when a wholesale client does reach out. We have our pricing strategy organized. We have labeling and barcoding worked out to the requirements that we know that they need. That way, when they do reach out to us, we're ready to land the deal.
So there you go, Brooke. That's a lot of ways to increase sales and turnover right there. We've covered a lot, and there's far more, but that's just the most common ones we think about.
Yep. So this is a wrap up to the series on the 3 different levers for how to increase profit. Blaine, if I want to double down and focus deeper in on this topic, and really even the topic of getting organized on my finances, what are some areas or some resources that you could share with our listeners?
The biggest win for us, Brooks, in the last 15 years was when we attended the Ranching for Profit school. Now, that was a economic and finance school, very much business school geared towards ranchers.
Yep.
But we picked up so much that we applied to every single business here at Seven Sons. And that was just our transforming educational experience, was Ranching for Profits. Those guys do some awesome work there. So,
all right, we'll leave a link below. Be sure to let us know in the comments what are some of your metrics and how those stack up to some of the ones that we shared as well, so we can all gain insights from that. And that'll wrap up the episode.
Awesome.
See you next time.
Thanks, Brooks.